All right, next up,
Oh, wait, we didn't
sorry.
say. Also, field trips, something that is key is medication.
Oh.
It goes back to that
We
activity
did talk
request.
about that, yeah.
Okay, you didn't talk about it?
Oh, well, yeah, no, I wasn't gonna. I was just saying, yeah, we did talk about it. But
Okay.
yeah, no, but it is super important that you know exactly what medication your students are receiving or need, and that you check that out in a timely manner, and that you have all the procedures for it down and you understand it.
Yeah, the day before or even 3 days before is not sufficient, because if you haven't been trained this year, not last year, this year in the administration of medication, and no one on your team has, and that child would not be able to go.
Yeah, 'cause last year we had to give shots. Remember that?
Yeah, we did.
That was
That was comical.
That was fun.
But all was good. No one died. There was questions about it though.
So, grading considerations and gradebook guidelines. The main point here is like halfway down in this section. It says, progress reports and report cards should confirm what parents already know through parent conferences and regular communications. Basically what that means is that if a parent gets a progress report or a report card, nothing on it should be a surprise. They should already know, and you know.
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
on.
No, please.
If there's a drop in a letter grade from, let's say, even the progress report time to report to the end of that quarter, communicate about that.
The
any
key here
changes.
is communication.
Yeah.
Communication. Regular,
My favorite word.
ongoing communication. So speaking about that, information sent home to parents, top of page 15. Anything that you send home to parents, letters like team letters or letters about activities or things like that, please filter through us so that we can approve it, so that we know. It's not because we want to like put a clamp on like what you send out. It's just that it helps us to know exactly what you have planned as a team or as a teacher with your students. And then also all of that material, like any letters that you send to us for approval, should also be sent to the front office so that Melinda, as well as the front office staff, knows what's going on.
That way, when she takes phone calls, she knows what she's talking about. She can support everybody.
Yep.
Lesson plans, we'll talk more about this later, but we do want to remind you, we have always said that lesson plans are due the Friday for before the upcoming week. We know that we've been lenient on that, and have said that's fine. You can put them on Monday, so you can work on them over the weekend, and that's okay. We prefer them the Friday before, but if you do need the weekend, that's fine. Just remember that everything that you do should be in your lesson plans, so what you're doing matches your lesson plans, and we'll have more conversations about that later.
All right. Meetings. Please make sure that you're on time to meetings, and remember, all of our meetings start at 8:35. So that's like, what am I trying to say here? That's like the common time. We know that meetings start at 8:35, so please plan to be there promptly and on time. You can get here at 8:30. That's arrival time, and that gives you a few minutes to put down your stuff or do what you need to do, and then get to any meetings.
Right.
And they're always on iCount.
Mm-hmm. Parent conferences. Please remember this 455 form.
I just emailed it out to our instructional. Anyone on our instructional list right now got that just now. I sent it out.
This is from that state law that occurred like halfway through the year last year about the parents signing before and after, saying that you did not prevent them from bringing an advocate. And along with that is a parent conference note. Please, please, please always have some type of a conference summary at the end of the conference. Some of you send it home electronically later on in the day or the next day. Some of you just type notes up on your computer. Some you handwrite them. It doesn't matter to us. That's the bottom line. But you always want to put a copy in the CUME folder. And you don't have to do that until the end of the year. But this is key, and this saves a lot of problems later on when a parent said, well, the teacher didn't tell me, and we can go back to the notes, and yeah, the teacher did say. So that's real important for yourself as well as for the parents. So please remember both of these forms for parent conferences. And just remember, a parent conference is, I kind of equate that to like going to the doctor and you have a meeting or a consultation with your doctor. and you're getting all of your questions answered when you go to the doctor, and the doctor's sharing information and his interpretation or her interpretation of all of your results. Likewise, you're doing that same thing with parents. You always want to start off on a positive note. You want to give them a very, very clear picture, just like your medical record. This is the student's academic record. And share with them how their child is doing, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. Write it up, have it on a summary, and make sure that the parent has the opportunity to answer or to ask all the questions that they need to ask, and you can answer those. And we want to make sure that they feel like they've been completely communicated with consistently, and that they always leave on a positive note, and they're feeling at least happy with the communication.
Yeah, it's a great analogy about it's like a doctor visit, because at the end of that doctor visit, typically if there are conditions, you ask the doctor, what are your treatment recommendations, or what course are you going to follow so that I get better? And it's the same thing with the students and with their parents. You know, the parents want to know if there are issues, what exactly are we going to do to remedy that? And so that should always be based on the data that you've presented, just like it is with the doctor. So.
And then usually the doctor concludes too with, do you have any questions?
Exactly.
And we always hope we get those answered.
What do you got next?
Okay, next, progress reports. It's just important with progress reports and report cards that you communicate accurately what's on these. Recess at Odessa, for those of you who are new, recess, we have it every day. It is mandatory. It's part of the child's day, and it is 10 minutes, and it's 10 minutes before lunch. When you take your kids to the cafeteria, we have outside hand sanitizer dispensers so they can clean their hands with the hand sanitizer before going into the cafeteria. Teachers are not to take recess away for incomplete work or behavioral reasons or anything like that. Cafeteria behavior and recess are tied together, and we try not in the cafeteria to take recess away. If so, it's just partial recess. Sometimes we just try an alternative like moving the child. So we ask that you please not take recess away, because that's really hard for us to support when a parent tells us that their child's not having recess because homework wasn't turned in. So please keep in mind, kids need that. Just like you need some social time, they need some social time too.
You wanted to talk about SBIT.
SBIT. Most of you are well aware of SBITs. Maybe some of you have never come to an SBIT. What is key in this is Thursdays are our staffing days, and to make the time that you are in there more efficient and more effective and meaningful, and you feel better walking out, please bring all the information about that child. Again, kind of like the medical file. Bring it with you, know it, have all the data, and be ready to speak clearly and about that child's progress or lack thereof. And the children should have been brought up to a TBIT before they ever come to SBIT. And Sarah will be speaking more about this, because as you recall, we do have guidelines for it. But that's a summary of it.
All right. Security. What's that?
SAC. Just to let you know, this is election year.
Oh, election year for SAC.
So in your folders when you come back, there will be a SAC
nomination forms.
You got it. Thank you.
Exactly. So
security.
Yeah, security. All staff members and interns are required to wear photo ID badges. Visitors and volunteers on campus, they'll either have a sticker, or many of the volunteers have a badge. Many of our regular volunteers have a badge that says volunteer on it. If you see anyone that does not have a badge or a sticker, feel free to ask them, are you a visitor on campus today? Or did you sign in the office today? And if they didn't, feel free to redirect them. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, which I encourage you to do though, but if you don't feel comfortable, please let one of us know, or call the office and say, hey, there's somebody here and they don't have a sticker on or a badge. And then we'll investigate that.
And I push that a little bit more. Mr. Thomas is nice and says feel free to ask them. And I say ask them. I would rather offend a person and err on the side of caution for our children than not. Now, of course, if you aren't comfortable, you just call us and we'll go out and we'll find them and we'll ask them. But don't hesitate to approach someone and say, may I help you? I see that you don't have a sticker on or a badge on. Because that is all of our jobs, keeping kids safe.
Right. All right, what do you got next? Signing in and out? I see you have. I have that highlighted, but you have notes.
Oh, signing in and out. Remember that the sign in and sign out board is right across from the conference room where we are right now. And it's real important that you do sign in and out every single day. Not from the day before, but you sign out that day. That also does tell us who is on campus and who hasn't maybe gotten here yet, or who's out that day. Instructional, you may sign in any hours. I mean, you can sign in from 8:30 to 4, or if you're here from 7 to 7, you can sign, which we hope not. That's not what we encourage, because family's first. But you can sign in those days. Since you're salaried, it doesn't matter. Unlike non-instructional, you must sign in and sign out your workday, 8:30 to 4. And speaking of non-instructional, you are not allowed to work over those hours. So we're not going to mention any names, but one of our wonderful IAs loves to put in additional hours, and we appreciate it, but you need to go home.
Like now.
If you're not home, go home.
All right. Anyway, so staff lounge. The lounge is for adults only, and this applies to teachers, kids, or staff members' children as well. Please take care of the lounge. You know, people cycle through there all day long, from morning until afternoon. And please make sure that you just clean up after yourself so that it's neat for the next group that comes in.
And we're on the T's now, so we're almost done.
Almost
so hang
done,
in there.
man.
This is probably the longest podcast.
It
Sorry.
is.
Telephones and cell phones. Of course, everyone has a telephone, a wired telephone in your room. Of course, everyone has cell phones too. Phone calls to parents are extremely effective. Good ones and bad ones, favorable ones and unfavorable ones, but it's really important in gaining that parental support. So please remember that. Personal telephone calls, please make those during your planning time or during your lunchtime or before and after school. And that includes texting too, because it really is our job to be 100% on and be present for the kids. So we understand that some of you use your cell phones for random calling on students and things like that, and that's different, or for a time or for a group, we get that. But please remember, phone calls and texting
For
should
Class
be...
Dojo.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, you got it.
All right, so visitors on campus. We talked a little bit about this already, that they should definitely have a badge. But remember this, that no parent should just randomly appear at your door. If a parent randomly appears at your door and they're not there specifically to volunteer or something like that, please send them back
Away.
to the office. Away. Exactly.
To the office.
Yeah, send them to the office.
And please remember that all staff need to be wearing a badge too. Mr. Tom or John is an example, and I'm a non-example since I don't have mine on right now. So
Where is
please, it's still in my bag.
Well, it's summer.
It's summer.
Okay. All right, so, well, that's not an excuse. Actually, go get your badge.
Okay.
All right, so.
Look at that, how I complied. Well, that's not going to happen again.
All right, so volunteers. Please make sure that anyone that you get as a volunteer, that they fill out the Pasco County volunteer application, and that they end up on the approved volunteer list. You know, we've had situations in the past where parents show up to volunteer to chaperone for a field trip, and then she's got her badge.
I have gum too, in case you want some gum.
I do. And then they can't go on the field trip because they're not an approved volunteer. No thanks. Anyway, so that's super important. Make sure that they are approved volunteers. And that was actually the last thing. Did you have anything to add to that volunteer?
Did you say they're approved for 14-15?
Oh, yeah. They have to be approved for this coming school year, too.
This will clean out your sinuses.
No, seriously, what kind of gum is that?
I don't know.
All right.
Focus 5.
All right. That was it for the staff handbook. Remember, you're responsible for knowing what's in here, even the areas that we didn't go over. So feel free to look through that. And
all new staff members, when they come to Odessa, they're meeting with us on August
4th.
From
9 to 12.
We'll go over this in a little bit more detail with them.
That's
just
true.
So you'll know that.
All right.
I think that's it. Sorry it was so long, guys, but
this is the longest one.
And this saved us time during a faculty meeting.
See, instead of looking at us up there going over this,
Oh,
you're
boring.
planning in your room.
There you go.
All right.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys. See
Bye.
ya.